We are the second of the 503rd Rogue Cell podcast. It's produced by Together with Veterans, Northwest Oregon, and we'll talk more about that later. This is kind of an episode 0, and we'll talk about ourselves and the organization and why I do a podcast for veterans. So first off, we have Donna-Marie on the phone. I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Donna-Marie Drucker. I am the Executive Director of the Oregon Firearm Safety Coalition. We are folks that work directly with firearm owners to address the pretty significant issue of firearm suicide. We also run the Together with Veterans Northwest Oregon, and we are doing that because we want to make sure our veterans in Oregon are supported in many different ways, including helping each other prevent suicide.
Hi, I'm Brad Peitzig. I've been a veteran out of the Army for about 6 years now. I served on active Army from 2003 to 2017. My career was split. I started as an engineer for 10 years, and I was a mathematician for about 5 years. And then I was medically retired as a major when I was attending graduate school in California. So most of my service was up in Alaska. I served in Fort Richardson. It was interrupted twice with my Alaska vacations with deployments to Iraq. Then my second and third duty stations were also in Alaska after I met my wife. After that, I was stationed as a mathematician in Kansas and given extensive math training, sent to grad school. You know, it's no secret I considered making that transition the biggest mistake of my career. I miss the soldiers. So for me, I'm doing this because I want to share my experience, hear the stories of others, and make another veteran's journey a little easier than mine.
I'm Sean Davis. I spent 12 years in the military, 6 in the regular Army. I was in Schofield Barracks, Hawaii, deployed to Haiti during the Revolution in 95. Then I was stationed in Fort Drum, New York. I reclassed from 11 Bravo to 95 Bravo, from infantry to military police. And then I was stationed in Bad Aibling, Germany, a little military intelligence base in Europe. Did law enforcement there. I got out in January of 1999. Went to art school, and then but September 11th happened, and the day after I re-enlisted into the Army National Guard as 11 Bravo again. I was a squad leader and sent to Iraq during the war. I got blown up, Purple Heart, hurt pretty bad. Hurricane Katrina happened, so I went down to New Orleans. And then after that, I got out of the military altogether. So I want to talk about Together with Veterans. Donna-Marie, what exactly is Together with Veterans?
So Together with Veterans is actually a program that came out of the VA, the Rural Office of Veterans Health. They wanted a program that was basically run by veterans for veterans in our rural communities. And, you know, the VA does amazing work and it supports a lot of veterans, but there can also be some mistrust of the VA among certain veteran groups, and we understand that, and the VA understands that. So they realized that they weren't always connecting with all the people that they needed to. So they came up with this idea and sort of said, well, instead of us going out there and doing this, perhaps we'll help communities develop their own sort of like groups, like Together with Veterans, that can form steering committees that are made up of veterans that can figure out how to support their community. And we will step back. The VA takes a big step back. It sort of provides us with a framework. It provides us with funding for 3 years. And basically it helps us connect with the community, connect with our veterans, look at what gaps there are in services and what our needs are, and then it helps us meet those needs. So Together with Veterans Northwest Oregon was put together about a year and a half ago now. Like, as I mentioned, I run the Oregon Firearm Safety Coalition, and we really wanted to make sure that we were supporting our veterans. And I connected with another veteran who is not on this call, Josh Davis, but he is a part of Together with Veterans. He'd been talking to Together with Veterans National, and he's like, this would be great for Oregon, but I can't run this right now because, you know, he was VSO, he had all his work to do. He's like, Donna-Marie, you should connect with them and see if we can bring it to Oregon. So that's what we did. We had talks for about a year learning about the program. And then towards the end of 2021, we put together our steering committee. We launched the Together with Veterans Northwest Oregon. And in 2022, we really launched the program. We started to connect with communities across the state. We've held a couple of events so far. In November, we held a community event for veterans to come and learn about all the resources in their area. And then in December, we held our first veteran peer support training. We have another peer support training happening in April. And we're really sort of leaning into the idea of sort of helping veterans to help each other and figuring out ways for us to support that. And then we figured, a podcast, what better way to reach veterans from across the state than like a roving podcast that could go to every corner of every county and sort of learn about what services are available to veterans, what events are going on, what coffee mornings are going on, who's doing what, learn about it and share it. So that is sort of the hopes and dreams for this podcast, is that it's going to bring all the services and all the opportunities for veterans across the state together and hopefully build that community and connection.
So, Donna-Marie, I've already seen a little bit of Together with Veterans out there in action. I think I'm the newest member of the steering committee, but I was talking about it in a group therapy appointment, and one of the other members of it actually went to the last assist training.
Oh, wow. That's great.
He said it was absolutely fantastic and told me I need to cancel my trip I have coming up where I'm missing the next one.
Well, I'll be at the next one, so that's great. I'll be able to do
no, is that, I'm going to correct that. Is that the assist training or the peer support training?
Oh, that was the one that was on Clascanine.
That was the peer support training. Excellent.
Oh.
Yes.
So you're not able to attend the April peer support training because that's April 3rd through the 6th?
No, that's right. During my kids' spring break, I'm taking them to their grandparents.
Yeah, well, that feels important, right? That is also community and connection. So
Well, they'll be listening to this, so that's absolutely important.
there you go. And we're going to have more trainings. And our goal is to be having trainings at least once a quarter and to really build up the veteran peer support workforce, because we know that veterans supporting veterans is absolutely the gold standard for care.
Absolutely. Like, my transition to civilian life was really hard after I got out, and I didn't connect with other veterans because I isolated myself. You know, if it wasn't for my wife, I would have been completely isolated. And, you know, to me, hopelessness and isolation are the riskiest places to exist. And I would like other veterans to know, regardless of their position or status, that they are not alone. There's many people that have been in the exact situation that they're in.
Yeah, I completely
Absolutely.
agree. Yeah. And what I love about the Together with Veterans is that they're not bringing in experts to an area, you know, because it's specifically rural, and they're saying, hey, you guys got to do it. We're this program that we have. And that's information that we have. They're saying like, hey, you know, you guys create your own group because you know what's best for your area. And here's some help and here's some resources and here's some training. Go at it. And I think it's been really great. We've been able already to reach out to the community. We've done some fun stuff that'll be on the podcasts coming up. And we found people are just incredibly supportive everywhere we go.
Yeah, they really have done a good job of saying, hey, let the veterans lead the way here. And that's exactly what we're doing here in Oregon. And we have our firearm, question, persuade, refer, suicide prevention training, which we provided a lot of gun clubs and throughout the state. And we also provide that at VFWs and American Legions. So we have a lot of the evidence-based stuff that they really want us to be doing. But with that, we're also then able to add on things like the podcast, community events, the peer support training. And what's really been amazing is that as a nonprofit, the Oregon Firearm Safety Coalition really struggled in the beginning to get funds because, you know, we're talking about working with firearm owners and preventing suicide. These are things that people find uncomfortable. So getting funding was incredibly challenging because people would say, well, what funds do you have? And our answer would be, we don't have any funds because we're wanting to secure funding so we can have funding for the future. So the answer was always like, well, if you don't have money, we can't give you money. Together with Veterans came in and said, hey, if you're willing to do this work, here is the funding, and we will support whatever decisions your Veterans Steering Committee makes, because we know that the veterans know what's best.
That's amazing.
And with that, isn't it amazing? Yeah. And with those funds, we were then able to leverage getting other grants for like our peer support trainings so that we can then continue this work. Because, but together with Veterans comes with 3 years worth of funding, which is amazing. But then we have to figure out how to continue the work ourselves.
Well,
but that seed money.
Yeah, I want to say that's another role of the podcast. Yeah, we want to get out there and let veterans know. Hopefully they'll hear it through social media or wherever they hear their podcast. Like, wow, these guys are out there doing stuff. They can get through it because, both Brad and I are veterans who had to get through a lot of stuff to be where we're at here because, and the stuff that was a direct result of our military experiences. But we want to let people know they can get through it, inspire them to do some good in their community, but also we'll be looking for sponsors. That sounds a good point.
Yes. We're going to be looking for sponsors so that you chaps can continue to travel throughout the state and do the work that you're doing, because we know, like you said, and Brad, I think it was you that talked about your isolation. Absolutely. Isolation is like, we need to break that. We need to break that. We want people to know that wherever you are in Oregon, whatever kind of small rural town, that there's probably some veteran group that gets together and that you are welcome there. You are welcome there, and you have brothers and sisters that are going to support you. So this is why this work is so important, because isolation is a killer. There's no question.
Yeah, we're going to wrap up episode 0. We just wanted to give everybody a little bit of information about us as individuals. Our roles on the podcast is, Brad's going to be the producer. That's the most predominant role. I mean, I'll help produce, but I'll be out there talking to people, spearheading it. And Donna-Marie, you're kind of the driving force behind all of this. And we really appreciate you and being on the podcast with us. And thanks for doing all you do, all the organizations that you're in.
So
well,
you can
thank
find
you.
us.
I'm calling the rest of us. You two are like the podcast folks, and then we are rogue supports. That's what I'm calling, like Ashley, Vicky, and I. And that's what I just put on my business card with the logo for the podcast, like Donna-Marie Drucker, rogue support. So we were super excited to be supporting the work that you're doing.
Thank you so much, and we appreciate you too. So thank you. Okay, so for podcast number 1, we're going to be doing some fun stuff. We will be at the Fort George Brewery, interviewing Silver Star recipient Matthew Zedwick and Fort George employee Nate Turner, also an Army veteran. And then we're going to be going to the Astoria Armory Pacific Northwest Professional Wrestling Night. And
man, I'm excited for this.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I hear that there's going to be a championship match. We can't wait to see it.
And I believe we'll be joined by my son on that one.
Oh, that's going to be great. I love doing the podcast, but more family we can get, the better. You're going to hear a lot of our families in the podcasts, I'm sure. All right, so let's wrap it up. And, I want to say our bumper music is from Michael Dean Dameron. He is an Army veteran, 101st Airborne. He was a boxer in the Army. And then he went on to found a pretty popular band out of Portland called I Can Lick Any Son of a Bitch in the House. The song is called Bad Days Ahead from the album The Sounds of Dying.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Together with Veterans Northwest Oregon or the Oregon Firearm Safety Coalition or the Department of Veterans Affairs. You can find us at roguecell.vet or facebook.com/group/roguecell. If you are feeling suicidal or having thoughts of suicide, dial 988 and select 1 for veterans, or dial 911 or go to your nearest emergency room. The second of the 503rd Rogue Cell is produced by Brad Peitzig with support from Together with Veterans and is hosted by Sean Davis. Music provided by Michael Dean Dameron. Thank you for joining us.